Blog Talk Radio, the world's largest online radio network.
That's right, you all, everybody. Welcome to the world-famous Urban Jungles Radio, broadcasting live from, I guess, middle New York City tonight with another momentous Urban Jungles Radio evening. This is your host and personal beastmaster for the evening, Danny Mendez, and here by my side, ready to follow me into the depths of Mordor, is my wingman, Andy V. Andy, what's poppin', baby?
Nothing much, man. I'm here with my goblin blade. I'm ready to go.
Let me know if it glows green, and in the meantime, we're going to have a damn good time. Tremendous evening we have for you tonight.
Yeah.
An incredibly...
Yeah, I'd say it's tremendous. Yeah.
I say it's astounding because
okay. All right.
what we have in store just borders on such greatness this evening. I can't even begin to explain it to you because it is possibly one of the most exciting episodes of Urban Jungles Radio, which is, of course, in store for you for who knows how long tonight, because you get to listen to me, Danny Mendez, and Andy V hanging out for the remainder of the show, and somewhere in there is some dude named Murray, who's the lead singer of a group called Drive Shaft or something, who's showing up tonight. So it should be very, very good, but of course, you know, I kid, because obviously we are all waiting to hear from Dominic Monaghan, who will be our special guest on Urban Jungles Radio this evening, and will undoubtedly be with us shortly. So just tremendous, Andy, tremendous.
Yeah, dude. When you told me about him a couple of weeks ago, man, I was floored. I couldn't believe someone of his stature, was going to be coming on our little show here, and did a little back history on him, and wow, I can't wait to talk to him, man. I can't wait.
He is a very, very cool dude, and yes, he is a big name in Hollywood. Obviously, we all know Dom from one of possibly the most epic, if not, no, I'm not saying the most, but one of the most epic. It's up there with Star Wars, which, for those of you who knows me, that means a lot. Yeah. But Lord of the Rings, easily one of the most epic movies ever made. Of course, Absolutely. The book is, a totally different ball game altogether, but the movies are just phenomenal, and our guest this evening plays a prominent role in these as Merry, of course, one of the funny but troublesome hobbits in the movie. So of course, it's just, he's awesome, dude, in so many ways. Not only was he in that, but he was in one of the most epic TV shows of all time. Obviously, we're talking about Lost. For those of you who followed the show painstakingly, Lost was like a love-hate thing for me, man. I hated Lost. I really, really did, but for the longest time, I had to hang in there and see what happened. And I'll be honest with you, and I'm not kissing up to Dom in any way tonight, because he's our guest, but when they killed off his character Charlie like that, he was such a great character, and the way that they did it was just so impactful. It was tremendous, and I think the image of our guest this evening holding up his hand, saying "Not Penny's boat" is easily one of the most impactful scenes ever in a TV show, I think, for anybody who's followed this series. It's absolutely tremendous actor. So, of course, he's out there in some of the biggest TV shows and movies in the world, but he's with us here on Urban Jungles Radio tonight because, like everybody listening tonight, well, the majority of you, he has a very deep love for animals, and I think that'll be very obvious once we start talking to Dom.
Yeah. Well, once you told me, man, we started doing a little bit more research on him. I couldn't get over, what, animals he's into. He's cats, dogs, okay, but he digs reptiles, and more particularly inverts, man. How great is that?
It's amazing because nobody likes reptiles and inverts but us. I mean,
no,
in the real one, no, that's not
many
true.
Mainstream people.
Yeah, that's not true. There is a large following for reptiles and inverts, but there's very few people mainstream, at least, who take it seriously enough, who have these and who are talking about it. And that's the most important thing, is we need people out there.
They talk about it,
Yes, we need high-profile people to come and talk about, keeping these animals and helping to dispel the myths, especially behind this stuff. The giant killer hairy tarantulas and deadly scorpions and vicious child-eating snakes that spread across the entire country, starting in Florida outwards. We've heard all the stories.
All the way up to North and South Dakota.
It's ridiculous. This is exactly the type of person that we want out there because I think you'll get this from listening to Dom talk. Not only is he a fan of these animals, but he's serious. He knows them. I mean, he knows what's up. He knows what he's talking about. You know, he gets out there into the field in pursuit of some of this stuff. It's really interesting. Totally blew me away. I mean, I had no idea when I talked to him that he was so, you know, not only down to earth, but, you know, profoundly interested in animals and following up on it. So, I mean, I'm for sure looking forward to sharing that with you guys out there because, of course, most of us listening tonight were fans to begin with. But I think by the end of the show, anybody who's not will easily be won over because the dude is just, he's a stand-up guy. He's a pretty cool guy, and he knows what he's talking about, and he's repping out there for the less charismatic of creatures, let's just say.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the pictures we've been posting all week, they're his own personal animals. You know, he didn't go and ask an animal wrangler for them behind the Hollywood scenes. They're his personal animal collection, which is stellar, man. You know, you don't see a whole lot of people, you know, with a flower mantis, for crying out loud.
No,
how cool is that, man?
And he's actually like taking his, you know, okay, granted it was a ball python, but he took his ball python on the Leno show. I mean, and that was his pet. You know, that's cool.
Exactly.
That just it brings everything home. You know, so much more when it's his personal animal he's talking about, and you can kind of sense that he's got this connection to it, which is very, very cool. Just complete awesomeness all the way around. I bet you didn't know that. I bet you didn't know that he and I were pretty tight.
Oh, really?
Yes, we were. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm completely going to like pee myself when I talk to him. It happens constantly. It's something I can't help. He's awesome. I'm a fanboy. I'll admit it. All right.
Dude, how can you not be a
fanboy,
man?
How can you not be? He's in the awesomest movies ever, and he's into the cool shit. I mean, you can't beat that. You know, I actually met him. I actually had the chance to meet him in person with Andy.
Is it really?
Yes, this is truth. This is truth. A few years ago. I guess it was back in the middle of the Lost heyday. It was, I must say it was about 4 or 5 years ago. I was in this tiny little airport in Cabo San Lucas, in Mexico, Baja. And I just finished spending a couple of weeks out on a ship on the Sea of Cortez. It was absolutely amazing. I mean, just a trip of trips. We saw so many amazing things. And we were actually on our return home from Mexico in Baja, in this little tiny rinky-dink airport. And as I'm going through security, I turn around, and Michelle Rodriguez is online behind me.
Wow.
Of course, yeah, it's totally crazy. It's like I took like a triple take. You know, I'm like, Michelle Rodriguez, obviously, that know from what are her zombie movies, Andy, that you're like into?
Resident Evil.
Yeah, thank you. All the Resident Evil series, like I've totally blanked out. The whole Resident Evil series, you know, just a million movies and series she's in. She obviously did her stint on Lost, and I'm assuming this was, you know, during her time of filming for Lost or whatever. So,
well, just a side note, did you know that she's actually a resident of our state?
I did, and not only that, she's actually a resident of our city, Andy.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is. Yeah.
Mind blowing, because as I was going through security, I turn around and she's there, and of course I have this little problem, especially around celebrities, which is, I guess, works out well for this show, but in real life it kind of creeps people out. And it's this thing where
on them?
No, it's something like really overtly creepy, but I just go up to people and start talking to them. I was like, hey, how you doing? You know, or whatever. I just talk to them like we've been friends, you know. So I turn around and I'm like talking to Michelle Rodriguez, you know, and within seconds after talking to her and realizing she's talking back to me, I'm just like super intimidated, you know. I'm sitting there with my wife, I'm completely like, I'm talking to Michelle Rodriguez, and like, oh shit, she talks to me, you know. I'm like, she could totally kick my ass if I harass her too much, you know. She's like a tough chick.
Yeah, she could.
But she's from Jersey City, our hometown. City I was born in. And so we started chatting about that. I was like, hey, you know, I'm from Chilltown, whatever. We started talking about Jersey City.
Oh, wait, stop. You didn't say Chilltown.
I said Chilltown.
Oh, my God.
What can I tell you, man? We're talking about Jersey City as we're going through security, right? And whatever. And she was very cool. She talked to me the whole time, which was a couple of minutes and whatever. So we go our separate ways, and I'm feeling all cool having just talked to Michelle Rodriguez. And, you know, I'm walking to the bathroom when I almost trip over this dude sitting on the floor of the airport in between these two potted plants, and I'm thinking it's like a panhandler musician type of thing. But when I look down, it's Charlie from Lost. It's Dom, and
wow.
sitting on the floor. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, this is awesome. So I of course, on my way to the bathroom, I walk over to him. I'm like, hey man, how you doing? I talked to him for a second. He was very cool. He was like, he was like, hey, how you doing? And he said a couple of words to me. I told him he could do a better job of hiding, or at least go hide near Michelle. I was like, at least go hide near Michelle. She can protect you, whatever. But
yeah.
We laughed about it and, went on our separate ways or whatever. And, by the time it came out, I felt so bad for the guy because a lot of people had obviously noticed him. And, before long, they were all, like, walking behind him in a big crowd as he was walking towards his flight, And then I'm like, oh, great. I realized that that's the direction that I'm going in, for my flight or whatever. So, and then it dawns on me, I'm catching a flight to the west coast of the U.S. from Mexico. And what if I'm on the same flight as Michelle Rodriguez and Dominic Monaghan from Lost? And I'm like, screw that. And I'm starting to panic a little bit about getting on the flight with the crew from Lost because I know that I'd be so pissed off with myself if the plane crashed or started to crash. And like while I was going down, it's like, how knowingly stupid can you be to get on, a plane with the crew from Lost? But luckily that didn't happen. So, but my long-winded point is that Dom is a very cool guy, and I'm very excited to have him here on Urban Jungle because he's just an awesome guy all the way around.
Hey, Danny.
Hey, what's up, Coach?
Hey, I just want to let you know that Dom is ready.
All right, Dom's ready to go,
my God.
You ready to go, man?
Yeah, man, yeah. Not going to get any readier.
I think you can get readier, Andy.
Okay? I hope so.
Oh, man. God, I guess you could say I was late in the game when I learned a few weeks ago that Dom was working on his own TV show called Wild Things, in which he explores nature and wildlife, and he strives to educate the public, which is very, very cool. So now I know most of us know him from his movies, but he's also really well known in certain circles as a hardcore animal guy, or an animal lover, I should say, with a profound respect for animals. He has a deep interest in invertebrates and reptiles, but genuinely seems to have a passion for living creatures of any shape and size. I thought he was pretty cool before, and that was before I had a chance to talk to him, and afterwards I know he's even way cooler than that. So without further ado, Dom, how you doing, man?
What's up? How are you?
How are you? Thanks so much for taking my call, dude. I really appreciate it. There's huge fans here at Urban Jungles Radio of all of your work, but
that's great.
Yeah, but I'm also really, what I'm most excited about, I gotta tell you, even though I'm geeking out because there's so many things that I love, the fact that I keep getting these whispers that you are really into the creepier and crawlier things in life, and that's what we love here at Urban Jungles Radio.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a fan of animals. I've been all my life, and there's no particular animal that I'm opposed to, or no particular animal that I don't have an affection for. And it just so happened growing up that because my brother and I were both allergic to fur, we found ourselves keeping a lot of reptiles and peculiar, to most people, animals, insects and stuff like that. And I just found myself, continuing to be passionate about a whole bunch of different animals. But the show that I'm making, Wild Things, is my attempt to try and change people's ideas about things like insects and invertebrates in general, spiders, scorpions, also reptiles, snakes, lizards, crocodilians, stuff like that.
Nice. Is that who holds the soft spot for you? It seems you tend to like the things that, kind of like us here, the things that aren't really as mainstream.
I'm a big fan of the underdog, and I also seem to find myself to be very driven by breaking myths, and I think there's a lot of very unfortunate myths about animals like spiders and snakes and bees and wasps and ants, and also the other kind of animals that have these nightmarish labels attached to them, like sharks and stuff like that. I just like to consistently break people's ideas about those animals being out to get us and causing us harm and being pointless on the planet. The amount of times I hear people saying, I understand that you're into this and this, but what's the point of wasps? And I try and point out, I'm like, look, you need to change the perspective of where you're coming from, because what you're doing is you're thinking of that animal based on a very human perspective, and the human perspective is they do nothing for me and they sting. But actually, you know, wasps kill a lot of animals that could form like numbers that could be pests, which would then affect our fruits and our vegetables and our plants in our garden. So wasps are very important. It's just people, you know, humans are very, very tied up by how does this particular animal affect me, as opposed to how does this particular animal impact itself on Earth.
And even in situations where, you know, there is a direct impact on humans, they just unfortunately don't always get it. Like we see here in the States with bees. I mean, you know, I don't know if you're aware, we have a lot of problems with bees being taken down. And, you know, that obviously, as major pollinators, that affects us. But it's still hard to get people on board sometimes. So it's such a huge breath of fresh air to hear somebody like you talking about this. Because it's so important. People just don't get it. I mean, have you kept any of this stuff recently, like reptiles or invertebrates? Have you kept them as pets fairly recently? I mean, I know growing up as a kid.
Yeah, right now I've got 2 pythons, a black widow spider, a tarantula, a tokay gecko, a stelopendra, and a praying mantis. So I have I've got a little kind of a zoo in my house, and I keep different types of animals, and I'm always out. You know, I planted a huge garden in my backyard, and my only choices for the plants that I put in there was plants that attract animal life, whether that be bees or moths or bats or butterflies. So my garden is always pulsating with life, you know. And you know, I mean, one of the things like that I'm hoping that my show will do will, like I said, break some of those myths. You know, I mean, I spend a lot of time with people who, if they see a bee, they just run in the opposite direction, considering that the bee will attack them or sting them. And, you know, I can like grab hold of a bee in my hand and, you know, manipulate it and show those people that, look, I mean, not only is this bee not inclined to sting, but it's not interested in stinging, even if you piss it off enough. You know, I mean, if that was me, if a big giant picked me up and rolled me around in its fist, I would probably bite it. But bees are not interested in that, because they know that if they sting, they're going to die, you know. So they're a very misunderstood animal, as a lot of those animals are. And this show is my attempt to kind of get close to things like large spiders or extremely venomous snakes, and kind of say if you're respectful, you can have quite profound experiences with them.
Yeah, man, bees are inspirational. They make good band names and everything.
They absolutely do.
Let me ask you, what's the basis of your show? I mean, the show is called Dominic's Wild Things?
The show's called Wild Things with Dominic Monaghan, and the basis of the show is that at the start of each episode, you find me in a different part of the world looking for a specific target animal. For instance, I go looking for the world's largest spider in Laos. I go looking for the largest honeybee in the world in Malaysia. I go looking for the world's most venomous scorpion in Namibia. And on my way, I meet guides along the way that kind of teach me a little bit about the animal as I get closer to it. So I might meet a guide that will have me spend some time with a slightly smaller, slightly less dangerous scorpion and learn a little bit of scorpion husbandry and try and understand their body language and how they behave. And then from there, you know, I might be lucky enough to find other animals in the wild on my way to my journey. And then the end of the show is me either achieving my mission and you know, showing that particular animal, or the show will have me say, well, you know, we didn't quite get there this week, but we managed to see this and that, and I had a great time. And we have things that we feature every single episode, which is obviously the animal, but we also do a little feature on street food in each episode. We do a little feature on soccer, because I'm a huge football fan, and we're always interacting with local people, local kids, finding out what they eat, how they survive in some of the slightly stressful temperatures that they all live in, and how they get along, and you know, how they get food. So it's a little travel show mixed with obviously a little bit of a nature show and social kind of consciousness, and a little bit of eco living as well.
Nice, yeah. It sounds like it encompasses a lot of the cultural aspects, which is cool because usually they're tied in so tightly with the animals. As far as traveling, I mean, you have several episodes on BBC already, and is this something we'll see in the U.S. anytime soon?
It's not on the BBC yet. It's all gonna come out in the early part of 2013. I'm in the middle of editing episode 6 now. So it will be on BBC America in America. It will be on OLN in Canada, and it will be on Channel 5 in England. And I'm sure it will get picked up by different networks in places like New Zealand and Australia and, different parts of Europe and stuff like that. We were hoping to get to Australia this year. We didn't quite make it. We ran out of time, and we had wanted to do a New Zealand and an Australia trip, but instead we went to Southeast Asia. But I would think second season we'll make our way to Australia, because there's some of the more fantastic animals in the world living in that country.
Oh shit, yeah. I mean, I couldn't even imagine getting a chance to see this stuff and highlight it for everybody. I like the fact that you're targeting some of the lesser known, less charismatic, cute stuff that you typically see on some TV shows. That's definitely a big plus. I mean, what was more exciting, traveling the world and checking out all of these cool animals, or getting to make out with Megan Fox in the M&M video?
The Megan Fox thing was fun, but it probably didn't last quite as long as some of these other shows did. I mean, she's a nice lady. We had fun. I mean, it was a great video, and I was happy. I never really wanted to do a music video, and then I just thought, well, this is a perfect storm condition, because I love Eminem. I think he's the kind of Elvis of rap music. I mean, he kind of like changed the genre in a way, and making a really cool video with an actress who I really enjoyed working with. I mean, I kind of like ticked that off the list, so I was really happy to do it. I mean, the Wild Things thing was probably a little bit more work in terms of, I spent probably about 2 years or so of my life just getting it ready.
Wow.
Like pitching it and getting it prepared and finding the right crews to work with and finding people with the same sensibilities, so that when we went off to make the show, I knew that I had someone with me that had the same kind of vision. And it took a while, and I think a lot of times if you work a long time at something, there's a nice feeling of satisfaction. And I'm looking forward to it being on TV, because now we're at the point where I'm constantly giving notes and flying backwards and forwards to Toronto, where the show is being edited, and doing the special effects and doing the voiceover. And I'm now at a point where I'm like, okay, now I want people to see it. Now I want to feel the reaction. I want to see if I can, change people's minds.
You're so close. You're there. Yeah. It seems like you were messing around with some really amazing stuff. I mean, you mentioned, I'm assuming it was a fat-tailed scorpion that you were looking for. I've seen some pictures of you with cobras. I mean, you were handling some pretty hardcore shit out there.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, in every episode we're dealing with animals that can certainly, potentially kill you or have you lose, part of your body. We look for the black thick-tailed scorpion in Namibia, which is the world's largest, most venomous scorpion. So that would certainly send you to hospital in a part of the world where hospital was probably at least a day, if not a couple of days, trip away. And then I found the black forest cobra in Cameroon. That would, again, these animals would send you to hospital with probably a 50% chance of some very serious injuries, if not death. And then, found a monocled cobra in Vietnam. I found a 12-foot python, which, isn't venomous, but is certainly 4 or 5 times stronger than me. So if it wanted to latch itself around me and wrap its coils around me, you're talking about probably a 8 to 10 man job to get this snake off me, and who knows what type of damage it would have done to my body before then. Some really venomous vipers in Africa and in Asia, very innocuous looking snakes, tiny little beautiful, gorgeous, maybe foot-long snakes that just look absolutely beautiful, look like something that's been drawn by a child, but these are the type of snakes that don't move very fast, but are some of the fastest striking snakes in the world. And if they bite you, you probably lose your hand, or certainly your fingers, or a couple of the fingers that it's bitten, and possibly your hand, or if it bites you on the leg, you might lose a foot. So it's these are animals that they're not to be messed with. They're not they're to be respected. And I do respect all animals. I'm respectful of ants in the same way that I'm respectful of elephants. I don't think there should be a discrepancy based on whether or not they can hurt you. But what happens with you spending time with very dangerous animals is that your senses just become much more tweaked. You know, like my understanding of space and my understanding of, you know, the animal's body language and my eyesight becomes much more tuned, and that's a very interesting place to be. It's a very enjoyable place for me to be, and I hope when you or when anyone else sees the show that they'll see that even though you know, we're spending time with an animal that probably doesn't hang out with humans too much. You know, we don't hassle them, we don't bother them, we certainly don't hurt them. I mean, you know, we spend a few minutes with them, and then once we're done showing the viewer how beautiful and special these animals are, we let them go on their way, you know.
I have complete faith in you, man. You fought orcs and urukai. You can do it, bro.
Yeah.
But seriously, like, have you taken any kind of, you know, bites or anything while on location doing this? Like anything serious, I should say?
No, I've been lucky enough to not get tagged by anything too dangerous. I mean, obviously you get riddled with mosquito bites all over the place. I got quite a few leeches on me that, you know, continue to bleed for like 48 hours, so that's kind of makes a mess of your clothes and stuff. And then we got battered by black flies and sand flies when we were in Guatemala, and those guys bite in a very interesting way because you don't really feel it when they bite, but then the bite itself stays itchy for months, you know. I mean, I got back from Guatemala in the early part of June, and we're now in the middle of August, and I'm still scratching these bites. So that's some of the worst stuff that we got. But in terms of, like, you know, venomous spiders or snakes or scorpions, you know, I've been very lucky up to now. So
that's awesome. I'm definitely excited to catch your show. I mean, it seems we're desperately in need of some good animal, you know, friendly, I should say, TV programming. I caught a blurb maybe about a week ago, where you were actually quoted talking about, what was it, swamp people?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, does that bother you that kind of sensationalistic, you know, glorifying killing of animals seems to be one of the more popular, you know, avenues of programming on TV?
Yeah, it's sensationalistic, and I just kind of found it to be offensive. You know, what I actually said was, I had tweeted saying, if one of my heroes, Steve Irwin, was alive, you can guarantee that swamp people would not be on television. I mean, he fought and championed for people to try and understand crocodilians a little bit better, and then we got brought back into the dark ages by the Swamp People show. Now, to just put that into context, I understand that these people do a job. I understand that these people do a job that is needed in that part of the world due to the fact that humans have moved into the place that crocodiles call home. Not the other way around. You know, right. We weren't living there and suddenly we're inundated with crocodiles. What happened was we moved into the swamps where crocodiles live, and now we find that we come into contact with them. Now, I'm aware of the fact that if there is a 6, 7, 8 foot alligator or crocodile that hangs out near your back garden and you have a 2-year-old son and daughter, I understand that that is dangerous and you need to, you know, be responsible and maybe move the crocodile out into the wild or, you know, do something to control the numbers. I appreciate there needs to be a cull. What I have a deep issue with is turning that into entertainment. I mean, you know, I eat chicken. I don't want to see chickens being slaughtered on a TV show. I sometimes eat beef. I'm not interested in watching cows being butchered. I appreciate there's a slight hypocrisy to that, but what I do take exception to is this idea that, you know, hey, come along for a jolly cool ride with these fun, colorful characters who shoot alligators in the head for entertainment. Like, you got to do that for your job? Go at it. I appreciate it. You have to make wages. You have to feed your family. Turning that into television, like, hey, we caught one. Great. Hey, we pulled it out of the net. Great. Hey, I'm going to take out my shotgun and shoot it in the face. Like, that's not fun for me to watch. And these animals are intelligent. They feel stress. They, you know, obviously feel pain. And I just don't appreciate it.
That's awesome. No, it's good to hear, man, because I think too many people are just way complacent about this kind of stuff. And I mean, what you're saying, I just want you to know personally, you're making waves for sure. And I can show you that because it just so happens that Steve Irwin's father, Bob Irwin, is a close personal friend of ours, and he's on our show frequently. And he's also a fan of yours, and he heard what you said. And he heard you were going to come on our show, and he just wanted to leave you a quick message. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to play it for you real quick.
Oh, that's great.
Okay, hold on.
Hi there to all my good friends at Urban Jungle Radio, Danny, Andy, and all those wonderful supporters out there. I just got some disturbing news from Colin about these swamp men, I think they're called, flying out killing alligators. And, it seems like there's absolutely no end to it. The destruction and the slaughter just continues. But the one good thing is the chap called Dominic has lent support, and thanks for that, Dominic. That's a big plus. We need all the help we can get to stop this slaughter, and it seems to be occurring all over the world. And it's people like Dominic and Danny and Colin and all these guys that are getting stuck into these creeks. They are absolute creeps, these people. They just don't seem to have anything better to do. To make a living out of some disgusting thing like that just makes me feel sick. And, I just want to thank Urban Jungle Radio because they do a magnificent job. Good on you guys, and I'll catch up with you soon. Thank you.
So he obviously feels similarly to you, maybe a little stronger, I think. But Bob's the man, and he was really happy to hear that you were on board with, speaking out against this, because it's something that he's been fighting, and that he's been helping us fight a lot of stuff here that goes on in the States, and especially picking on the animals that really seem to get it the worst, which really end up being the reptiles, unfortunately.
Yeah, it is. They're a misunderstood group of animals, and Bob is obviously a great man. I mean, you see the work that he and his late son was able to achieve. And, if you know anything about Steve Irwin, he constantly talks about his dad being his hero and his dad being his influence. And obviously, his dad is a huge champion of animals and someone with fantastic conservation ideas and very, very mature beliefs about how we should or shouldn't be behaving. And I think he was obviously extremely influential on Steve when he was a young boy, and created, one of our great modern day nature warriors, and he revolutionized, I think, the way that we felt about crocodiles and the way that we felt about those misunderstood animals. And, the fact that he's sadly departed was, I would think, probably the major reason why I really moved forward with making my show Wild Things. I mean, I was devastated when he died, just devastated for months. I couldn't deal with how someone with such fantastic energy and such positive kind of thoughts could have been taken away, in the prime of his life. And it was that feeling of frustration and loss and space in that genre that made me think, well, you've always been talking about making this nature show, and what more could you need now than the gap that has been left by Steve Irwin? It was almost like a call to arms,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We need a champion, man. Come on, we're rooting for you. Get out there, show the world all the fucked up shit that needs to be worked on.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of which, are you familiar with rattlesnake roundups?
Yeah, I know rattlesnake roundups. I know how they work. Yeah, I mean, I've seen shows about them and I've heard all about them.
Yeah, I was just curious as to what your opinion was on, what you know about them. We've been fighting them here a long time. I actually ended up traveling to Sweetwater, Texas earlier in the year, and before I was even able to attend anything, the local police had served me with a bunch of papers basically saying that I would be arrested on site if I showed up to anything. So, I mean, they, are trying really hard to hide what goes on there. We are trying really hard to expose what it is out there. I mean, from what you know, can you just give us an opinion?
Well, once again, it harks back to that thing that I said earlier on in the sense that we are only able to look at our world through human eyes. And unfortunately, what's happened historically over the years with rattlesnakes is they've become this kind of nightmarish creature. And, when you look at it from a very simplistic, poorly educated, I should say, kind of ignorant point of view, what you learn is there is an animal out there that if it bites you can potentially kill you. And why should we have these animals? All they do is kill humans. That's all they do. Now, that's obviously a point of view that is slightly skewed, because obviously rattlesnakes don't wake up in the morning and think, okay, I have to kill 5 humans today. That's my ambition. They just don't act that way. If you happen to get bitten by a rattlesnake, it's usually because you've startled them, or you've inadvertently scared them, or you've not heeded the warnings. You've been playing around with them in the wild or something like that. Rattlesnakes control large populations of mice, rats, different types of rodents, different types of animals that, again, if rattlesnakes weren't around, they would breed out of control and cause a lot of diseases. I think that in certain parts of America, certain parts of the world certainly, but certain parts of America where there are large areas of open space where humans don't tend to go, I don't see why humans are going into those places and pulling rattlesnakes out of those places to kill. They're not doing anything wrong. Now, if you were to find a rattlesnake, let's say, in a school or in a shop or in a grocery store, it makes sense for you to take it out of that place and put it back in the wild. I don't think you necessarily need to kill it because it's not doing anything wrong. But the rattlesnake roundup is almost the sick glorification and the hero worship of these people that, very demonstratively go into these places, pick up rocks, throw rattlesnakes into bags, and then gain a lot of, pats on the back because they're seen to be these brave men that, have conquered these wild beasts. But those wild beasts would be perfectly fine if just left alone. You have to have a certain amount of responsibility over things. I mean, if you start a rattlesnake roundup, then I guess some element of common sense would say, well, let's do a lion roundup, let's do a grizzly bear roundup, let's do an elephant roundup, let's round up every single animal that could potentially cause harm to humans. It's just silly. We need to understand that there is enough places on Earth for us to live alongside these animals.
Oh, very well said, my man. Maybe sometimes on Wild Things you can give rattlesnakes some love and kind of show people how idiotic the whole thing really is.
Yeah, I do. I find a neotropical rattlesnake when I'm in Venezuela, and we do a great scene where we talk about just how beautiful and powerful and the amazing amount of senses that these snakes have. So we do a little bit of rattlesnake love for sure.
Oh, awesome, man. Dude, I had so many high expectations, and you've totally blown them out of the water for this.
Oh, that's good.
Thank you so much for being so awesome, dude. And I'm so excited to know that you're out there and trying to put out the good word for animals, especially those that don't have a voice, which tend to be the less understood ones. I, for one, am totally looking forward for this show. I really hope it makes a big splash for you and continued success. We definitely need somebody who's passionate and vocal to get out there and talk about a lot of the nasty stuff. Yeah, we'll definitely put that link out there. We'll link you up on our page, too, because we want everybody to find you and be able to know, everything that's going on.
Cool.
Don, thanks so much for coming on Urban Jungles Radio, man. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome. It's nice to talk to you guys.
All right, buddy. That's right, Jungle Junkies. Rejoice in what is Dominic Monaghan. I have a big round of applause for Dominic, everybody. He was tremendous. Andy, what did you think, man?
What I think, I was speechless, man. I mean, I couldn't get a word in edgewise. I was totally geeking out over here. So, Jesus, man.
I'm totally impressed with Dominic's vision of wildlife. He's a good dude, man. He actually, some of the things I didn't get to talk to him about, but he actually purchased a small forest in India to offset his carbon footprint from traveling while doing Lord of the Rings. The dude bought an entire forest.
Wow.
And they do some fundraising with, I think he said it was like a mango plantation, and they sell the mangoes to provide funding for other parts of the forest. It's crazy. Anyway, he's very, very eco-conscious, and he actually also had a photography exhibit. He had a photography exhibit that was highlighting his own photos, and he sold, obviously the photos at the exhibit, and all of the money from the proceeds went to an orangutan refuge. So he is just like a really well-rounded, down-to-earth dude. What can I say? I mean, he's Dom.
Yeah, man, he was so down to earth, so relatable. He was so relatable. A celebrity, but yet he was still not high on his horse and telling you what you should do and what we should do to save the planet. He was just just talking about the shit that he loves, which is great.
I actually am going to show you how great. I have 5 specific reasons that talk about why Dom is great. I'm going to show you this. Ready? Number 1, obviously, he likes the cool animals. He likes the cool animals. You heard yourself.
Yep,
the man's got a skull of Pendra. Anybody who has a pet centipede is hardcore because the freaking things are scary. I love inverts and they scare me. So he's hardcore.
Yeah, Scolopendras are pretty hardcore.
They're not for the faint of heart, for sure. Andy is barred. It's one of the few things that will get Andy a divorce if he brings one home.
Absolutely.
Fact. This is complete fact. Okay, reason number 2. He was in X-Men and Lord of the Rings and Lost. I mean, do you need another reason for somebody to be any more off?
No, not at all.
I'm going to give you one more, Andy. I'm going to give you a couple more. One more. He's a Star Wars fan. The dude is absurd.
Wow.
He loves Star Wars. Do I have to say any more?
I think you have one more in you.
I have a couple more, actually. Number 4, I guess it was number 4. We talked about this in the interview. He got to make out with Megan Fox, which can be seen as a plus or a minus, depending on who you are. There seems to be like a split down the middle on this chick, and it's understandable. I think she's a very attractive girl, but I can't get past the thumbs. She's got weird thumbs.
She has big toe thumbs.
She has it's like club thumb, and it's like a genetic thing. So like your kids are gonna have big toe thumbs if you like. What's his name? That dude who married her from 90210. Good luck with that, man.
I have no idea.
Brian Austin Green married her.
Oh really? Ew.
Yeah, and he knocked her up, so they're gonna have little thumb kids. So more power to you. But anyway, I can't get past that. But that's it. But it's still a plus to make out with Megan Fox. So that's good. And the last thing is, one of the things I've noticed about the dude, which is very cool, is that he knows how to wear wrist accessories like a boss. I mean, and I appreciate that. As somebody who wears wrist accessories, it's good. He's always rocking some cool wristwear.
I didn't know you could wear wrist accessories like a boss.
Well, only Dominic Monaghan can obviously do it, man.
Yeah.
The dude has skills. What can I say?
I'm glad you put the music on there for the interview, man. I had to go change my Depends. That was rough.
I needed a pee break. I think it's probably too late for most of it, but what was there is out, and it's good. No, he's a really good dude, and it was very enjoyable talking to him, very exciting, and I look forward to checking out his show. So make sure you guys check out his show, and like you said, make sure you follow him at Dom's Wild Things. And he's pretty funny on Twitter, and apparently Jen and I were talking.
Oh yeah, his Twitter account is great.
All right, that was Dominic. We're gonna take a really quick. We're not gonna take a break. We
just took a break.
We take a break?
No, we just took a break. We're good, man. We're dry. We're good.
Okay, we're good. We're dry. We're gonna keep going then. Andy says keep going, and so we keep going. Why don't you guys take this opportunity to give us a call? 347-205-9407. That's 347-205-9407. If you have questions and if you want to win a decal, I don't know, I'll put a question up there. Okay, he has a really cool tattoo. It's a Star Wars themed tattoo. If you know what Star Wars tattoo he has, don't say it out there in the chat room. If you know what Star Wars tattoo is, don't Google it either, you cheating bastards. Just call us and let us know, and I'll give you a decal set. We got our cool new decals in finally, so we have new Urban Jungles decals. We'll send you 3 really nice ones and stuff. So, you'll enjoy that, I'm sure.
Yeah, they're cool decals, man.
Yeah, they are. Let me tell you guys about that. I'm still all tongue twisted and excited. Let me drink something here, Andy. I'm parched.
All right, kids, take a drink. Take a drink. We just lost all our fluids, so I think we're good now.
Yeah. Our theme song is in, and our theme song. Oh my God, I'm reading somebody's things. Please pull this here. Take the screen away from me, Andy. Pull this away.
All right, hold on.
Turn it around.
Okay.
I don't want to look at it. Everybody, and special thanks to Limey, by the way. Limey Smidge are out there.
Oh my God, he's blowing up your phone like a dude.
He's been texting me all kinds of like crazy things, like pictures of topless women and everything, and I really appreciate that, Limey. But I'm a professional, Limey. Damn it, I'm a professional. You can't sway me. You can't move me. I'm like the giant mighty oak.
Yeah, you're an oak, all right.
Shut up, Andy. Thank you. Anyway, Limey. What was I saying? Yeah, I completely lost what I was gonna say. God damn it, Limey. Oh, I want to congratulate him, even though he's been trying to screw me up. Last week's show, we talked about Limey hosting the auction, the charitable auction over at the Myrtle Beach Expo, and apparently they raised over $26,000 for Sean Bradley, who was injured.
That's amazing.
Really amazing. So congratulations, Limey, Jay Eaton, the rest of the Myrtle Beach Reptile Show crew for coming together as a community, hosting everybody. And Limey's still texting me stuff. Limey, leave me alone. God, congratulations to him for raising $26,000. That's a tremendous achievement from the community. So yeah, that's really awesome. Congrats, Limey. And you guys are hanging in there for hoodies and stuff. And I know you want to know more about hoodies and.
Oh yeah, man! Everyone's been texting me and messaging me on Facebook about these awesome brand new hoodies we got.
This is such a complicated issue. I don't even know how to explain these hoodies to you people. 631, who's this?
Yeah, that's Limey.
Oh, jeez. Hey, Limey, congrats on that whole deal, man. That's pretty tremendous, dude. And
you're welcome, man. I mean, it was absolutely a fantastic night. Everybody got into the spirit of it. Somebody donated this metal spider with a retail value of about $50. It's one of the good stories. I think the first time it was auctioned off, it raised like $80, $90. The guy re-donated it back. I think I sold that freaking spider 7-8 times. Raised like $700 on this $50.
Wow.
Recycled spider that was made from like motorcycle parts or something crazy.
Oh, nice. I totally
awesome.
would have been on that. Yeah, I totally would have been on that.
It really was. It was just a fun night. People got into the spirit of it. As I said, the whole reptile community just like clubbed together. And we had one hell of a time, man. And we didn't even miss you.
Oh, Limey.
Limey Smidge, everybody. And thank you, Limey, for the distractions. I appreciate that.
But you should have asked that, whoever the hell that guy was from Hollywood or something, about the McBurdy's factory in Stockport, England.
I don't even know what that means in your
It's a biscuit factory, but the smell when you drove past it used to drive you crazy, man. And he would have recognized it and remembered it.
All right, Limey. I gotta go, man. Thank you so much for harassing
guys, I appreciate it.
All right, man. What was he saying about biscuits?
I don't know, man. I try to understand him. He's so stiff sometimes, man. I think he was already 3 sheets to the wind, so that just makes the accent even worse.
Limey, I love Limey. Limey's awesome. Shouts to Limey. Hey, I want to also say, talking about love, obviously you people hopefully did not miss this. Bob Irwin himself dropped by to leave a message for Dom, which I thought was pretty amazing.
That is amazing, man.
Yeah, Bob was apparently very impressed by Dom's attitude towards, swamp people and speaking out against them. Of course, Colin got wind of what was going on, and he was like, Bob needs to know about this, and we let Bob know. And of course, Bob immediately was like, that's awesome, and big shout out to Dom. He was nice enough to call in and leave a message just for Dom. So, thank you, Manimal, and thank you, of course, Bob Irwin, for coming through and saying hi to our guest this evening and helping us deliver an important message, because that's pretty damn awesome.
Absolutely. When Father Nature leaves you a message, you want to listen to it all the way through, man.
You don't mess around when Father Nature calls.
No, not at all.
All right, hoodies. All right, you guys are egging me on. We're running out of time. I'm going to try to shave off the show tonight. Hoodies. recently put out an announcement, and if you guys want to follow along and have no clue of what I'm talking about, head on over to UrbanglesRadio.com. Essentially, I've announced the establishment of the Urban Jungles Marching Society, which is a little bit of a play on the Merry Marvel Marching Society, which is this whole comic book geek thing, which I'm sure Andy gets and most of you can Google or whatever. But anyway, the Urban Jungles Marching Society is basically our proactive face here on Urban Jungles Radio. It's basically an organization that will speak out in a respectable manner against animal and conservation issues, and it's just something a little more than, you know, signing a petition online. It's people showing up or people going to shows and, you know, wearing their hoodies and letting people know at shows that people who wear this hoodie listen to us and kind of live by the Urban Jungle standards of, you know, treating animals well and keeping things good. So it's just, I thought, a really cool way to let the world know that you believe strongly in reptile conservation and education. And by rocking our hoodies, you will do that, and you will automatically become a member of the Urban Jungles Marching Society, which, trust me, has its perks. Now, these hoodies will not be available until mid-October after the Tinley Park show. We will be bringing them to Tinley Park, so if you guys are attending, you can pick some up there. We will have a few available. But these will not be available until October 14th when we're at Tinley. So if you want to get your hands on them in celebration of tonight's very cool show, you can head on over right now after the show. Not right now, because you'll be concentrating on my voice. Head on over after the show and go to UrbanglesRadio.com and click on our store. And I've opened up exactly 6 hoodies. That is 2 medium, 2 large, and 2 extra large. And you go to Urban Jungles Radio and you can order your hoodie through the website, and it will cut off after the remaining stock is sold out, and that will be your only chance to get a hold of these hoodies. So I suggest you do that immediately after the show. And otherwise, we will see you guys in Tinley for the absolutely most amazing, mind-blowing weekend you can ever possibly imagine. Partially brought to you by Urban Jungles Radio, of course. So you will definitely not be wanting to miss that.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And you know, we get a couple people already in the chat room trying to barter for a hoodie. And no, I don't think Danny is going to be taking a ball python for a hoodie. Sorry. I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, no, probably not. But, you know, keep listening to Urban Jungles Radio, because I may reward your artistic attempt to win me over to giving you a hoodie. If you can sway me in some way to give you a hoodie by doing something very, very cool and posting it on our Facebook, or by emailing me, Danny at UrbanglesRadio.com. No boob pictures. I've seen enough of Lime's boobs. Basically, if you can convince me, I will send you a hoodie, but, you know, that's going to be really tough, so don't get your hopes up. You guys are going to want to work really hard. And, yeah, having my face tattooed on your chest, I see that in the chat room. That might work, and it might not. So who knows? I don't know. You'll just have to submit a picture and post it up on our Facebook, or email it to me, and I'll let you know for sure what is going on with that. Why do I get the feeling I'm going to regret this one, Andy?
Oh my God, forget it, man.
Oh my God, I can just imagine what you people are going to send now. So I will celebrate creativity and reward it handsomely.
I posted the link to our webpage in the chat room here, so make sure you go to that page after the show tonight.
Good Lord. Oh gosh, Jungle Junkies, what can I say? Oh, before we go, oh my God, I can't believe I almost forgot this. Heather Marie Sabalos, who's a big listener, along with her husband and her whole family, who loves her Snakey song. It's her birthday, and I want to just wish you guys a happy birthday. I want to wish you a happy birthday. And we're going to send Heather some of our cool decals so she can rock them, because I know that she reps Very, very good. And Andy, did you notice that I was cursing a lot in the interview and Dominic did not curse at all?
I did. I noticed that, man.
Oh my
you hardly
God.
ever curse. I'm going with a sailor mouth, and you were just, I think I counted about 5 or 6 different curses. 2 in one sentence, by the way.
Now that I know nobody's listening to the show tonight, I can tell you that is like my form of Tourette's, dude. That is basically like when I'm nervous or like I start cursing and I can't help it, and I know I shouldn't be cursing at our guests, especially our very high-profile guests, but I couldn't help it, and I cursed, and normally I wouldn't care, I wouldn't feel bad about it, but the dude did not curse at all.
No, he didn't. He was very professional, as people would say.
He was professional, and he would not sink down to my to basically my level of.
No. Which is
good. It speaks volumes for Dom, but it says a lot about my ganglion connections in my head. I don't know why I cursed. I can't explain that one, but
you were nervous, man. Of course, it's a geek heaven right now. So okay.
Oh, it's okay. It's a good thing. What can we do? It's the Urban Jungle's way, and if we were perfect, then we are. But anyway. Jungle Junkies around the world, thank you very much for joining us this evening, hanging out with Andy and myself and Dominic Monaghan, Bob Irwin, Colin, and the whole crew. Before we go, I of course want to thank all of you guys, our Jungle Junkies en masse. I am pretty positive this evening we are just about breaking every record known to Urban Jungles Radio once again, coming off of last month's record-breaking numbers, which is pretty damn awesome. So I have to give you guys a huge thank you. Thank you to all of my Jungle Junkies. I don't know what I would do without all of you. You guys are just awesome, and thank you for spreading the word. Please keep spreading the word. Let everyone know what we're doing and why we're doing it. And, let everybody know that there's a lot of work that needs to be done out there, especially for the reptiles in need, whether it's the stuff we're seeing at shows or it's rattlesnakes at roundups, whatever it is your cause. Make sure you get with it and, help out. For more information, please visit us at www.UrbanglesRadio. And
I just wanted to say something before we finish the show with regard to these hoodies.
Please do.
When you wear them to shows, to your local shows, when you walk up to a vendor and he has some less than questionable animals on that table, as someone wearing the hoodie and part of the UJMS, it is your personal responsibility to call that vendor out.
It is not to be worn idly, my Jungle Junkie.
No, we will not accept passive protesting.
Do not be fooled by the hoodie's incredibly warm, soft, comfortable, loving interior, because the exterior of that hoodie is going to make everyone within view piss their pants if they're doing something wrong.
Blog Talk Radio, where millions of hosts and listeners gather.
Radio this evening, and will undoubtedly be with us shortly. So, just tremendous, Andy, tremendous.
Yeah, dude. When you told me about him a couple weeks ago, man, I was floored. I couldn't believe someone of his stature, was going to be coming on our little show here, and did a little back history on him, and wow, I can't wait to talk to him, man. I can't wait.
He is a very, very cool dude. And yes, he is a big name in Hollywood, obviously. We all know Dom from one of possibly the most epic, if not, no, I'm not saying the most, but one of the most epic. It's up there with Star Wars, which, for those of you who knows me, that means a lot.
Yeah.
But Lord of the Rings, easily one of the most epic movies ever made. Of course,
Absolutely.
The book is, a totally different ball game altogether. But the movies are just phenomenal, and our guest this evening plays a prominent role in these as Merry, of course, one of the funny but troublesome hobbits in the movie. So of course, it's just, he's awesome, dude, in so many ways. Not only was he in that, but he was in one of the most epic TV shows of all time. Obviously, we're talking about Lost. For those of you who followed the show painstakingly, Lost was like a love-hate thing for me, man. I hated Lost. I really, really did. But for the longest time, I had to hang in there and see what happened. And I'll be honest with you, and I'm not kissing up to Dom in any way tonight, because he's our guest. But when they killed off his character Charlie, like that, he was such a great character, and the way that they did it was just so impactful. It was tremendous. And I think the image of our guest this evening holding up his hand, saying "Not Penny's boat" is easily one of the most impactful scenes ever in a TV show. I think for anybody who's followed this series, it's absolutely tremendous actor. So of course, he's out there in some of the biggest TV shows and movies in the world, but he's with us here on Urban Jungles Radio tonight because, like everybody listening tonight, well, the majority of you, he has a very deep love for animals, and I think that'll be very obvious once we start talking to Dom.
Yeah. Well, once you told me, man, we started doing a little bit more research on him. I couldn't get over, what, animals he's into. He's, cats, dogs, okay, but he digs reptiles, and more particularly inverts. Man, how great is that?
It's amazing because nobody likes reptiles and inverts but us. I mean,
no,
in the real one, no,
not
that's not
many
true.
Mainstream people.
Yeah, that's not true. There is a large following for reptiles and inverts, but there's very few people mainstream, at least who take it seriously enough, who have these and who are talking about it. And that's the most important thing is we need people out there.
Talk about it,
Yes, we need high-profile people to come and talk about, keeping these animals and helping to dispel the myths, especially behind this stuff. The giant killer hairy tarantulas and deadly scorpions and vicious child-eating snakes that spread across the entire country, starting in Florida outwards. We've heard all the stories.
Yep, all the way up to North and South Dakota.
It's ridiculous. He's got this connection to it, which is very, very cool. Just complete awesomeness all the way around. I bet you didn't know that. I bet you didn't know that he and I were pretty tight.
Oh, really?
Yes, we were. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm completely going to pee myself when I talk to him. It happens constantly. It's something I can't help. He's awesome. I'm a fanboy. I'll admit it. All right.
Dude, how can you not be a fanboy, man?
How can you not be? He's in the awesomest movies ever, and he's into the cool shit. I mean, you can't beat that. I actually met him. I actually had the chance to meet him in person with Andy.
Did you really?
Yes, this is truth. A few years ago. I guess it was back in the middle of the Lost heyday. It was, I must say it was about 4 or 5 years ago. I was in this tiny little airport in Cabo San Lucas, in Mexico, Baja. And I just finished spending a couple of weeks out on a ship on the Sea of Cortez. It was absolutely amazing. I mean, just the trip of trips. We saw so many amazing things. And we were actually on our return home from Mexico in Baja, in this little tiny rinky-dink airport. And as I'm going through security, I turn around and Michelle Rodriguez is online behind me.
Wow.
Of course, yeah, it's totally crazy. It's like I took a triple take. I'm like, Michelle Rodriguez, obviously, that from what are her zombie movies, Andy, that you're into?
Resident Evil.
Yeah, thank you. All the Resident Evil series, I've totally blanked out. The whole Resident Evil series, just a million movies and series she's in. She obviously did her stint on Lost, and I'm assuming this was, during her time of filming for Lost.
Blog Talk Radio, the world's largest online radio network.
That's right, you all, everybody. Welcome to the world-famous Urban Jungles Radio, broadcasting live from, I guess, middle New York City tonight with another momentous Urban Jungles Radio evening. This is your host and personal beastmaster for the evening, Danny Mendez, and here by my side, ready to follow me into the depths of Mordor, is my wingman, Andy V. Andy, what's poppin', baby?
Nothing much, man. I'm here with my goblin blade. I'm ready to go.
Let me know if it glows green, and in the meantime, we're gonna have a damn good time. Tremendous evening we have for you tonight.
Yeah.
An incredibly.
Yeah, I'd say it's tremendous. Yeah.
I'd say it's astounding because
okay. All right.
what we have in store just borders on such greatness this evening. I can't even begin to explain it to you because it is possibly one of the most exciting episodes of Urban Jungles Radio, which is, of course, in store for you for who knows how long tonight, because you get to listen to me, Danny Mendez, and Andy V hanging out for the remainder of the show, and somewhere in there is some dude named Murray, who's the lead singer of a group called Drive Shaft or something, who's showing up tonight. So it should be very, very good, but of course, I kid, because obviously we are all waiting to hear from Dominic Monaghan, who will be our special guest on Urban Jungles. This is exactly the type of person that we want out there, because I think you'll get this from listening to Dom talk. Not only is he a fan of these animals, but he's serious. He knows them. I mean, he knows what's up. He knows what he's talking about. He gets out there into the field and pursues some of this stuff. It's really interesting. Totally blew me away. I mean, I had no idea when I talked to him that he was so, not only down to earth, but, profoundly interested in animals and following up on it. So, I mean, I'm for sure looking forward to sharing that with you guys out there, because, of course, most of us listening tonight were fans to begin with. But I think by the end of the show, anybody who's not will easily be won over, because the dude is just, he's a stand-up guy. He's a pretty cool guy, and he knows what he's talking about, and he's repping out there for the less charismatic of creatures, let's just say. Absolutely.
And the pictures we've been posting all week, they're his own personal animals. He didn't go and ask an animal wrangler for them behind the Hollywood scenes. They're his personal animal collection, which is stellar, man. You don't see a whole lot of people, with a flower mantis, for crying out loud.
No,
How cool is that, man?
And he's actually taken his, okay, granted it was a ball python, but he took his ball python on the Leno show. Mm-hmm. I mean, and that was his pet. That's cool.
Exactly.
That just it brings everything home. So much more when it's his personal animal he's talking about, and you can kind of sense